Hyperlight Breaker is baffling. The opening hours are so frustrating, so full of counterintuitive and questionable decisions. I was having negative fun. What is negative fun? That's when you're so annoyed with a game, you retroactively question if you actually enjoyed the original game. I had the urge to go back to Hyperlight Drifter and see how a studio that nailed the opening of a game perfectly could flub it so hard on the successor. And yes, these games are different genres, but creating an engaging opening isn't genre dependent. Drifter starts with a beautiful opening cutscene that shows you're in the aftermath of some mass destruction event. You're sick, possibly from what caused the destruction, and something's pursuing you. There are symbols you don't know the meaning of, but through framing, music, and repetition, it conveys they are important and you should remember them. And what I find most impressive, it does this all without a single word, written or spoken. How does the opening convey the story of Hyperlight Breaker? It starts with my computer chugging to render the hub world. That looks nice, but shouldn't compete with Dragon's Dogma 2 on resources to load in. Where am I? No idea. Who am I? No idea. What am I doing here? I think you know the answer. There are vendors who take several currencies I don't know to do things I'm only half certain of. Like, this one wants microchips to increase my healing item, but do I have to buy that slot first? Because it looks like I have a slot for health, but I can't heal. Being cryptic is part of the allure of this world, but Drifter eases you into it and offers intrigue and context to your situation and motivations, while Breaker has the confusion without the intrigue. So that's the opening context. How do both handle learning how to play? Drifter starts with you stuck behind a bush. That's the first combat encounter you face. And it's brilliant! You can't progress until you learn to attack. And then it gives you a gun. All of this is happening in a safe space so you can experiment without the fear of failure or losing progress. You come across a gap and it teaches you how to dash, which doubles as a dodge. Falling into the gap takes 1 health, but if you fail enough times and die, you learn that you restart not that far from where you died. You've also collected several health packs by this point, so healing isn't an issue. After learning the staples of combat, you come across one enemy. One. It has 3 hit points, and you learn enemies have the same easy-to-read health bar as you. 1 block is 1 health. As you progress, you fight multiple enemies at once, so you can learn how to deal with several easy enemies before it eventually throws tougher enemies with several attacks each at you at the same time. Plus, there's several health packs along the way. Back over on Breaker, I use a teleport pad from the hub world, which I still don't have any context for where it is, to a new place with an equal amount of context for its location and purpose. When I first booted the game, I got a few billboards that covered my screen that said which buttons do what, and that was all the information I got. So my first encounters are all a struggle as I fight multiple enemies and attempt to dodge a variety of ranged and melee attacks. And it's an open map, so if I guess the right way to go, my first encounter when loading in will be facing a gaggle of enemies who will all beeline in my direction the moment just one of them makes awkward eye contact with me. And if I go the wrong way, my first encounter will be a gaggle of enemies who will beeline it towards me, and one of them will be a boss with a shoot ton of health who can stun lock me so I die even faster. Also, you don't start with the ability to heal. You have to get enough resources to purchase that upgrade. But it's hard to get those resources when you keep dying. And when you die, items you found either lose durability and can only survive so many deaths, or they have no durability and just vanish. Cool way to learn that mechanic. Alright, what about the level and map layouts? In Drifter, every section of the map has an enemy, a branching path, a secret, a platforming challenge, or some asset that tells a piece of the story of the world. In several places, it's a combination of those things. Each area feels purposeful and handcrafted. Even when there's only one way to progress, there's something to discover on the path. In Breaker, there's a lot of emptiness. Breaker is a procedurally generated roguelike, so the levels aren't meticulously designed like in Drifter. However, I spent an unreasonable amount of time just riding my hoverboard around wide open spaces between scattered points of interest. Everything feels generated in a haphazard manner. While you need more open space for multiplayer, the lack of a purposeful touch leads to stretches of vacant landscape. Even for things that could be a challenge, like getting to a higher area, the solution is almost always circling it until you find the spot that is clearly there so you can ascend. It's not a challenge, it just takes time. Hyperlight Drifter's opening hours are thoughtful, purposeful, and ease you into the gameplay and the world at the same time. Breaker's opening hours are a masochistic loop of uncertainty and time wasting you'll need to repeat in order to progress. It's painful to see a game like Drifter that has one of the best openings I have ever experienced have a follow-up that's one of the worst. Hyperlight Breaker is in early access, so I hope Heart Machine takes time to fix its issues to make something intriguing and welcoming, because first impressions are critical, and at time of recording, Hyperlight Breaker is Hyperlight heartbreaking.